target specifics.
Mic check!
Mic check!
Mic check!
Mic check!
In honor of Occupy's 8th birthday,
In honor of Occupy's 8th birthday,
we are gathered here in reverence and respect.
we are gathered here in reverence and respect.
Not because of its demise,
Not because of its demise,
but because of its continuing force.
but because of its continuing force.
As part of that, Occupy has blossomed into many different movements.
As part of that, Occupy has blossomed into many different movements.
One of those movements I was fortunate to be involved in, and that was abolishing medical debt.
One of those movements I was fortunate to be involved in, that was abolishing medical debt.
And thanks to that experience here in Occupy,
And thanks to that experience here in Occupy,
RIP medical debt was created
RIP medical debt was created
as a 501c3,
as a 501c3,
and since that beginning, we have abolished over
we have abolished over
$900 million in medical debt.
$900 million in medical debt.
On our way to 1 billion.
To 1 billion.
Did I mention I wrote a book?
I mentioned I wrote a book.
Yes, I did.
Yes, I did.
Thanks to Occupy
Thanks to Occupy
and my writing for the Huffington Post
and my writing for the Huffington Post
and being involved with so many great journalists,
and being involved with so many great journalists,
this has come to pass.
this has come to pass.
Amazon $15.95.
Amazon $15.95.
Every purchase,
Every purchase,
the authors gave up the royalty,
the authors gave up the royalty,
and enough money is created
and enough money is created
to abolish $500 in medical debt.
to abolish $500 in medical debt.
Go buy the book.
Go buy the book.
And now, Scott.
Yes, my name is Scott Andrew Hutchins, and I'm with the Occupy movement, and I'm with Picture the Homeless, and I've run for office with the Green Party, and I've been an activist on multiple fronts. Getting involved with one issue gets you involved in all the other issues, and when I've run 3 times as a Green Party candidate, first for State Assembly, and then for City Council, and then for House of Representatives. And that last one, I was running against Carolyn Maloney, and I outed her for not co-sponsoring the bill that Trump vetoed about ending funding on the war in Yemen. And in between when we recorded it and when it aired, she co-sponsored the bill. So I'd like to think that I was influential in that, because she was not happy when I pointed that out during the debate, and she kept insisting that she had. And of course, by the time the debate aired, she had, even though she hadn't when we recorded it. So one of the things that we're working on with Picture the Homeless, I'm sure you've read the articles, it's not in a very good state right now, but we're focusing on the New York City Community Land Initiative. We also have our report that I co-wrote, The Business of Homelessness, which is about all the money that goes into the shelter system and how it's used, mostly inappropriately. Some of these charities, over half the money goes to executive compensation, and they don't really do anything to help people out of homelessness. They have these vouchers that are supposed to get us out of homelessness, but there's not enough housing that's for the price that the voucher pays for.
And the landlords don't take the vouchers.
They don't take the vouchers.
It's so discriminatory.
We call it source of income discrimination. Yeah. It's against the law, but the only agency that deals with this is the New York City Commission on Human Rights. Yes. There are 5 people who are in the subdivision of that committee that work on source of income discrimination, and de Blasio tried to cut their budget. So even though he created it in the first place. So we can't trust de Blasio. He rode on the coattails of Occupy, and he's basically Bloomberg too, because homelessness has continued to skyrocket.
70,000 homeless people.
70,000 homeless people. 43% of them are working. It's a situation that we can't deal with. There are 4 vacant luxury condos for every homeless person in the city. And there's enough vacant property to house everybody. But there's just not political will to force people to do it. We've been pushing a legislation that's now known as Intro 226. This would require landlords to register all their vacant properties. They pay a fee to register, and they pay a hefty fine if they don't register after a year. So that's one of these ways we need to disincentivize keeping properties vacant, waiting for the values to land values and so forth to go up.
But actually, I'd like to add one thing to that. Some city council people, I don't know if it's really real or not, but some city council people are talking about that landlords that have so many violations and that are discriminatory against people, they should have their buildings taken away.
Yes.
So that's what I think is really the real solution. After three violations or whatever, take it away and give it to affordable housing. So that's interesting.
Yeah, Kushner would definitely be out.
Yeah.
All right, well that's pretty much all I have to say right now. Just I've been involved in a lot of things, and now that I have a housing voucher, I'm working with local New York to try to deal with this source of income discrimination thing. Because one of the things they do is once you get a housing voucher, the whole process we go through to try to catch these landlords in the act and get as much information as possible to get lawsuits going.
That's good. That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, good. Yeah. Go, Shirley.
Okay, I'm old school, so to the older ones, I am Sister S-I-S-T-A, and to the younger ones, I am Aunt Shirley from the Forgotten Borough of Staten Island. Woo! Okay, I'm here I represent any and all things that are injustice in this injustice system, period. Okay? I will start off with all these different people. This is just a little taste of all the different people who have been murdered by police all over the United States. The main person I will talk about is Eric Garner. Eric Garner resided on Staten Island, selling Lucy. He was a gentle giant. Most of you really know who he is. And if you don't know, then shame on you. But one thing that a lot of people don't know, even on Staten Island, is our real, true people's hero. My black Latino son from another mother, Ramsey Orta. And I have something to read to you about Ramsey Orta. Ramsey Orta is our true people's hero. Here he is holding the daughter of Eric Garner's youngest child, Legacy. Sorry, I don't, wait, hold up. Let me do this. I came prepared. I wasn't thinking.
Thank you.
Here you go. This is Ramsey Orta.
Yeah.
Okay? He is the one who took a picture of his friend, Eric Garner, being modern day lynched to death on Staten Island by that killer cop, Pantaleo. Okay. He's here holding his daughter. Without Ramsey Orta, no one would even know what happened to Eric. The photo above shows Ramsey holding his friend Eric's youngest child, Legacy. He not only witnessed the murder of his friend, but recorded it for the whole world to see. Ramsey changed history by doing that. There are two other NYPD chokehold executions on Staten Island prior to Eric Garner. One was in 1994. This brother named Ernest Seance. He lived in this area called Park Hill, and they were immigrants of Liberia. He was doing his thing. The cops stopped him, roughed him out, and choked him out. The second one was this brother named Alfred Nelson. In 2002, he was going to the hospital on his own. We call the hospital barely breathing. They call it barely seating. He went to an emergency psych. He did not want to stay there. They choked him out at the gate. There was this person who also knew about the second person being choked to death on Staten Island. You know him as Sharpton. I call him Sharp Ass. Okay? Ramsey changed history. Ramsey was supposed to be taken care of by Sharp Ass, but he let him down. Okay. Al Sharpton knew about Nelson and was supposed to have Ramsey's back, but he followed that self-aggregating path and kicked Ramsey to the curb. Sorry. The NYPD has had it in for Ramsey from the time he released the video. They planted evidence and could not produce the evidence they said that he had. So they continued to try to plant evidence. When they couldn't get evidence, they went after his family and arrested his mother and his brother. So his mother would not go to jail. Ramsey took a plea. 4 years. They have been trying to kill Ramsey since day one in Rikers Island with rat poisoning. We are coming together to say we need to support our true people's hero. He is truly a hero and a political prisoner. Tomorrow at Foley Square between 2 and 5 o'clock, we are going to have an event for Ramsey to show his support. And everybody should be there and pass it along. Peace.
Thank you. So I wanted to just talk quickly about kind of AM and I are kind of involved in many ways. He goes to like every event, but the gentrification issue going on in the city is really, really horrific. And what I'm seeing is that city council people, there's fierce community opposition. Now, when we had the Amazon deal fell through, so that was amazing. What happened is that Senator Gianaris actually flipped. And I think with the activism that I'm involved with, we're interested in flipping elected officials. And what that means is that you have to call out the elected officials for what they really stand for. And AM goes to all these events, but I think that's one thing that I'm seeing a lot. I'm also working on it's a social movement building to save public housing. Public housing has between 400 to 600,000 people of color, the elderly, the disabled, working families in public housing in New York City, and what they're trying to do is put public housing into RAD. Have you guys heard about this? De Blasio's plan is to put 62,000 apartments into RAD, which is called Rental Demonstration Assistance, and what that is, it puts public housing into the hands of private landlords. So you can be evicted for minor infractions like not putting your garbage away correctly. And then what happens is that they start the eviction proceedings within like 14 days of the infraction, and then it's really, really difficult to get out of. So I'm involved with a group called Fight for NYCHA, also community control of land use, and what we're trying to do, we're having a town hall this Wednesday at PS 33, 281 9th Avenue, and we've invited all these public housing tenants from Fulton Houses, Elliott, Chelsea, and Harborview in District 3 to come because we're figuring out solutions to fully fund NYCHA. Now, okay, alternative banking, right? Alternative banking's in the house. So that group was really a prolific Occupy-inspired group. We met at Columbia University every Sunday, and actually it's still going on. And I remember talking about ways for the public to create money for social programs, for education, for healthcare. When we talked about the penny tax on the stock transfer tax. That's one way to get money. Another way to get money is to tax corporations like Amazon. Corporations that have over 1,000 employees should be taxed because right now Amazon and Goldman Sachs are not paying any tax. So that's not a good thing. But I remember in alternative banking talking about the ways to fully fund education, healthcare. Now we're talking about the same thing, funding public housing. The elected officials need to find the money, not put it in the hands of private developers, so they're going to evict everybody and hike up the rents. So that's one issue that I'm working on. It's got taken away. But gentrification is, I think, a huge issue, and the public housing issue, it's really the next big fight of ordinary citizens against luxury development. And I feel like that's what's plaguing our city.
I know, but thankful anyway. Thanks to anyone for the standing up here. So as long as you talk about what's going on with Sunnyside Yards. Sunnyside Yards is run by with Amtrak, also with pay rail yards, so that on Railroad, New Jersey Transit. What they do is they want to put a threat to rezone and redevelopment that side of the yard. They want to put it in a like affordable housing, but when it's not affordable for the residents who live in the area, or formerly homeless. They still live in shelters.
And also what's interesting with Sunnyside Yards is I just saw on Facebook today that with the council member Carlos
No. Sunnyside Yards, Jimmy Van Bramer.
Is that Van Bramer?
Jimmy Van Bramer.
Okay.
But it says that part last night
night.
with the council member like Chaka.
What's happening is people are shutting down the council members. Like, I think that's amazing. I mean, we have to go to these community board meetings and shut it down. We protested Community Board 4 because they voted for a proposal that will rezone, take underutilized space in NYCHA and build luxury market rate apartments on underutilized space. Well, NYCHA, Fulton Houses is like, don't take away our children's playgrounds, don't take away our parking lots, so you can build luxury development. So anyways, I just think it's important for people to come out.
Right.
Call the elected officials out. Anybody else want to say something? Somebody else come up here. We can't be finished. You.
I was going to say something.
Oh, yeah, Echo. Echo, say something. Echo, come over here.
Mic check!
Mic check!
Take one, pass it around.
Take one, pass it around.
We've been hearing a little bit about what's happened since Occupy.
What's happened since Occupy?
Some of us got some rubber on the road.
Some of us got some rubber on the road.
Started organizations. Appealed to the gods of Babylon. And now we can say 501c3.
Now we can say 501c3.
And your money donated is tax deductible.
And your money donated is tax deductible.
We're talking about levers of power here.
We're talking about levers of power here.
I say an activist is someone who becomes an expert
Someone who becomes an expert
in something they didn't really want to become an expert in.
and something they didn't really want to become an expert in.
I hope you're lit. I hope you got passion. I hope there's something that motivates you.
I hope there's something that motivates you.
8 years ago, some of us found each other.
8 years ago, some of us found each other.
Raise your hand if you were here.
Your hand if you was in.
At the General Assembly, some of us shared our dreams.
Some of us shared our dreams.
We all shared our hearts.
We all shared our hearts.
Before Occupy,
Before Occupy,
there was an 80-year-old.
there was an 80-year-old.
trusted me,
of
all people,
all people,
to bring people to his land.
to bring people to his land.
In 1960,
In 1960,
before the Civil Rights Movement,
before the Civil Rights Movement,
Bill Henry
Bill Henry
climbed on top of a nuclear submarine
climbed on top of a nuclear submarine
and said no nukes.
and said no nukes.
This was part of the Center for Nonviolent Action,
Part of the Center for Nonviolent Action,
who walked from the United Nations here in New York City
welcome the United Nations here in New York City,
to the New London Boat Company
and the New London Boat Company
in Connecticut,
in Connecticut,
where they were putting nuclear missiles in submarines.
where they're putting nuclear missiles in submarines.
Bill Henry spent a full year in jail
Bill Henry spent a full year in jail
for making a stand.
for making a stand.
They told him to work.
They told him to work.
He went into solitary confinement.
He went into solitary confinement.
They told him to eat.
They told him to eat.
He went on a 90-day hunger strike.
He went on a 90-day hunger strike.
He went on a 54-day water strike.
He went on a 54-day water strike.
Maybe you've gone a little bit and been tired and thirsty.
Been tired and thirsty.
But can you imagine going that long
But can you imagine going that long
on behalf of world peace
on behalf of world peace
and to make yourself the fulcrum of suffering?
and to make yourself the fulcrum of suffering?
We don't have to do that.
You don't have to do that.
There's more than enough suffering going around.
There's more than enough suffering going around.
Some of us came here to this park,
Some of us came here to this park,
or the 2,000 occupations worldwide,
or the 2,000 occupations worldwide,
and we educated ourselves
and we educated ourselves
in how to listen,
on how to listen,
not just prove you're right.
not just prove you're right,
Really transform yourself.
really transform yourself.
That's what this life is for.
That's what this life is for.
So Bill Henry let me bring people to his land.
So Bill Henry let me bring people to his
And
land.
at this park, I said, come join me.
And at this park I said, come join me.
That winter, after they stole our park,
After they stole our park,
a microcosm of the possible,
a microcosm of the possible,
all needs met,
all needs met,
every heart listened to.
every heart listened to.
No one was not transformed.
No one was not transformed.
That winter, we hosted street medic training
That winter we hosted street medic training
at the Autonomous Resilient Community,
at the Autonomous Resilient Community,
ARC 38.
ARC 38.
For 3 years, we just did it.
For 3 years we just did it.
We didn't have a house.
We didn't have a house.
Getting women to stay with no shower
Women to stay with no shower.
takes a lot of swimming and, infrastructure. We need infrastructure. There's a lot of learning curves people need to get survival
There's a lot of learning curves people need to get survival.
really embedded in our being.
Really embedded in our being.
We are so used to seeing power misused
We are so used to seeing power misused
that we can barely taste what real family is like.
that we can barely taste what real family is like.
Some of us found that here.
Some of us found that here.
Some of us build that at our home.
Some of us built that at our home.
Some of us in the movement, in the work.
Some of us in the movement and the work.
It's a real community.
It's a real community.
It takes practice.
It takes practice.
It takes honesty.
It takes honesty.
It takes courage.
It takes courage.
So join us.
So join us.
I have learned some tricks of the trade.
I have learned some tricks of the trade.
How to steer miracles through bureaucracy.
How to steer miracles through bureaucracy.
I'm happy to help you.
I'm happy to help you.
Become better at sharing.
Become better at sharing.
You can't take it with you,
Can't take it with you.
and we better do the best we can with what we got.
And we better do the best we can with what we got.
So let's get inspired.
So let's get inspired.
Let's get fired up.
Let's get fired up.
Let's learn something and share today.
Let's learn something and share today.
I love you all, family.
I love you all, family.
So this is a flag of the earth. The earth is ours. It's all of ours, not to own, but to protect. Right now on this island, Mannahatta, it's covered in concrete. There's very few places where ecosystems have the right to exist, have the ability to exist. So what we're trying to put back on the map through something concrete, but actually deconcreting, is planting trees, planting our future, giving the seventh generations a possibility on this earth that capitalism is quickly destroying. We know the end result of capitalism, it's a disease, and it will only end when we're all dead. Therefore, in fighting against that, Reclaim Earth, just like any reclaim, is an occupation of the earth for human needs, for the needs of animals and the voiceless plants that get destroyed. The Amazon right now is burning. It's burning in part because they want to turn it into pasture lands for growing food for us up here, for food other places in the world. We don't need the Amazon to be burnt down for our food. We can grow our own fucking food. We could do it on this island and we could do it en masse. But we know the bureaucracy is not going to allow us to just do it. So we have to create an occupy, a tree occupy. Trees for future. That's what we're establishing. That's what Reclaim Earth is to me. It's your earth too. Make it into whatever you want. If you want to plant stuff, if you want to take over an area, these laws, these legalities, it's all backed up by force and countless crimes. It's not real that we are just human animals and we agree to listen to things sometimes, but let's listen to each other and take back the commons. Thank you.
Take back the commons.
Reclaim Earth!
Yes.
Reclaim Earth.
An activist is someone who becomes an expert on something that they didn't want to become an expert on. So I've been coming to the Alt Banking Group on Sunday afternoons at the Columbia University School of International and Public Affairs. It's a group that was started by Kathy O'Neill from the Occupy Wall Street encampment, and we continue to meet pretty much every Sunday. This Sunday we're going to be at the UN for the climate stuff. But we put out this book. If anyone doesn't have a copy of this book, you're welcome to take one. I have two right now. This book has basically everything that happened that caused the financial crisis. And so we became experts on this. And if you want to become experts on the current events and solutions and approaches, come to the Occupy Alternative Banking Working Group, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Sundays at the Columbia University School of International and Public Affairs.
I'd like to say one thing though.
Altbanking.net.
Yes.
Altbanking.net. Major resource. These people have been so productive.
Yeah. Alt
Who wants
banking
a book?
also, we protested the large banks in 2014, like a lot, right? I wore a police outfit and I did an effigy of Lloyd Blankfein and spanked his fat ass on the middle of 6th Avenue. I got my own article in the New York Times. So listen, the large banks moved their annual shareholder meetings outside of New York City because of us. That is a huge win. I think it's a huge win. So it shows that protest really does work, especially if you tap into the shitty things they're doing, they're horrible things that they're doing to people. So just FYI, if you take a widely held belief and then the elected official or the institution is not in line with that and you call that shit out, they go down. So just FYI, a little primer there, Sam. Allie, go. And this is Allie. Everybody knows Allie? Yeah, that's my girl.
Okay, everyone, I'm glad to see some of you here. We don't need a lot of people. We just need people with power and committed.
Hello.
Commitment is the best thing. It's not a lot of people, but commitment is very important. Since our mayor, and I don't want to use his name, became mayor, I have been bringing this sign around because, as you know, he represented himself that he would do better and he won't have a tale of two cities. But the tale of the two cities is getting even bigger and bigger with the inequality in this city. Right now, I don't want to, like I said,
I don't want to mention his name because I just wanted to give a hint to some of you, so I guess you would guess who the real mayor is. This mayor took the liberty to go around the country and to run. He wanted to be the president, and he can't be the mayor of this city.
It's not going to happen.
Okay? So, and it's a mayor that he wants to be president, but he's afraid of the NYPD. And you know that he's afraid of the NYPD due to the fact that they disrespected him. And what did he do? Absolutely nothing. So this is the guy that I don't know what kind of power he has, and he has not used his power to get Pantaleo found guilty of the crime to kill Eric Garner. So that's the mayor that we have in the city. And he's a progressive mayor. He's a Democrat. And look what's happening to the city.
With a black wife and black children.
Yeah, but those are the only
look
black.
what he does look what he does to people of color.
Yeah, exactly.
Look what he does.
Yeah.
He
So
should be run out of this city with pitchforks.
with the city council.
All of
With
them.
the city council. Because they're supposed to be progressive and they're supposed to be Democrats. And look what is happening in this city. They're doing the rezoning, they're doing gentrification, and what is happening right now? And here, Scott could tell you, the rate that the homelessness is going into the city right now. Yeah. You could just go around at night on Friday night and look at the trains, the cars, the stations, all these people that they don't have a place to stay and a place to go to. But I just wanted to let you know about the president that we have in the White House. That's another one. He wants to clean up all these major cities, including New York City, San Francisco, and LA. He wants to set up camps to put homeless people. So this is where we're dealing right now. But like I said again, we have a Democrat. We don't have a Republican in City Hall. We don't have Republicans, very few in the City Council.
So it's the Democrats that are doing this to working people.
Yeah.
It's a one-party town. It's the Democrats that are making New York City unlivable and unaffordable, and they need to be called out. Also, I want to say, listen, I know sometimes everybody's head is in federal issues, like against Trump, but the real issue that I see is in our own backyards, and this is where we can really be influential. So, I just want a little case in point. The group I'm with, Fight for NYCHA, we're trying to stop the RFP for the development of Fulton houses. The more noise you make, you really can't stop it. You really can't. So just try to get involved more with local issues and calling out local politicians. They said that my Twitter feed are like bombs. Oh, I'm like, really? It's the truth. A truth is a bomb? Really? Anyways, I'm pissed. Don't take it away.
This chart
so use
shows
Twitter to call these people out.
this chart shows how much homelessness has gone up in the city. That's under Koch, that's under Dinkins, that's under Giuliani, that's under Bloomberg, and here we got with the Blasio. It went up here. It actually went up worst under Bloomberg, but it's just going up, up, up.
Hello, I'm very happy to be here today.
Yay.
Happy anniversary, Occupy.
Yay.
And I really love the speakers that I heard speak before me because they are really addressing the truth. And the establishment does not like the truth. And I want to do a take about the homeless as well, because not only do we have a mayor that says that the way to solve the homeless problem is to build more homeless shelters, and they also criminalize the homeless as well. They also try to prevent the homeless from sleeping. Everybody has a right to sleep. And I also think there's a mindset that as long as we don't see it, it'll go away. And it's not going away. Because this city is so unaffordable now that people that used to be able to afford to live here are sleeping in the street. Okay? And finally, I want to say that we got to get this piece of shit out of the chair in the White House. I don't want to mention him by name because his name is mentioned enough. But we got to get that man out because that man is a threat to mankind and this earth. He seems to want to do everything that's contrary to the existence and the livelihood of working people, and that is unacceptable. So, having said that, happy anniversary, Occupy. All day, all week.
Occupy Wall Street.
My name's Matt. I was supporting the movement through like trying to get the word out, usually like on the trains, and I was trying to do mostly information. And subsequently, after the movement was evicted, I helped out with food at Union Square. We kept it going with the Occupy Kitchen at Union Square with people from that group. And I just want to say, like, you know, I appreciate everything that Occupy has brought to the table. I've been trying to continue the work of doing information and also gathering a list of all the events happening that pertain to the public good. I just want to continue to see that this thing go. I know everybody's involved in their own thing, but maybe it would be wise for the people here to actually like organize something, like some future follow-up, doing some type of guerrilla outreach to plug people into this, really. So I don't know how that would work, but maybe sidewalk chalk, like sidewalk chalk, go to schools and libraries and like start chalking something useful for people. Those are the kids that are going to save things. So.
Also, Apollo was talking about that maybe we have like a once a month get together. So
something.
That's something to think about. Like once a
Strategy.
month, we all get together and just talk, because sometimes talking, like that's where like brilliant ideas come up.
And also you learn about what other groups are doing. Like there's hundreds of groups in this calendar, and it's like, oh my God, why are we not like at least all coming together a few times a year? Defrag the movement.
One organizer from each group that all brings us. I know.
Everyone should come because there's millions of New Yorkers and they just kind of missed this. This needs to be bigger.
Organizers, because people are suffering.
Than just the hardcore occupiers, you know, are still around. It's got to be like, what do you have to offer? What are you doing to help the public good? Maybe do a community survey, something. Like pool our resources and like keep it going.
What Matt was saying, we should keep the spirit of Occupy alive. I was thinking that if we could start something like Moral Saturday at Union Square, everybody who has a cause, they could gather people and come there for their own cause. So there would be lots of groups. They could have their own identities and their causes in front of them, and we could gather every Saturday from noontime until whatever. So that could be a good idea.
Apollo's gonna talk.
Apollo, what time do you need me to show?
No, it doesn't matter. Just fine. I just want to, I want to thank everyone for everyone that showed up as early as everyone showed. I noticed that there's an issue within the activist circles, within New York City, especially now, since Occupy, of people thinking even 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock is too early to show up at different events. My thing is the forces that everyone is fighting against are always out there in time. They're always acting in unity. It's one of the reasons why a lot of the groups working on a lot of issues are always failing. Someone once said the reason why liberals fail so much, it's like you've got to put the time in, I guess the point is. Another point I want to make is, despite what you're seeing here right now, and these are from messages from people I've had around the country as well as outside, there are still occupied groups that are meeting every week, that are organizing, that are holding events, doing rallies, petition drops on all different types of issues, from environment from police brutality, killings, stuff on local legislation. They are active. The thing that's missing is the unity. The thing that's missing is that cohesive connection that everyone in the nation around the world was looking to, and that was this park. When we got kicked out of here, I always looked at it as apostles going out into the world, spreading a belief and idea. And that has happened, from Eco to Stacy, to a number of others who've traveled around this country, connecting with groups working on farming. I don't know all the names, I'm not an expert on it, but Echo's touched on a number of those to begin with. The movement never died. It never can die. It lives inside of you. I went around up until this year always wearing a little Occupy button. I always had tons of conversations, so much so that the police started calling me Occupy. Okay, and it was a sense of continuity. I heard it from people on Wall Street asking where we were, why are we not out in the streets? People are involved. I know people from Occupy that are not just with RIP Rest Medical Debt, are also involved in Sane Energy. People who worked on Bernie's campaign, Hillary's campaign, actually helped to organize those campaigns. Some people, I sad to say, who jumped over to the Trump side because of the issues that happened in the DNC. One of the strengths about Occupy was the fact that it wasn't supporting a political party. It was supporting the people, the people's right to rule, to control their own destiny. You have to think that Occupy happened because the banks fucked us over, the government fucked us over because they knew what was happening. There's too much money in politics. The same thing is happening now. You can watch people walking around doing a protest for climate, and you'll hear other people laughing, making jokes about that march. While they're making jokes about that, the world's dying. New Jersey, one of the largest lead issues, worse than what happened out in Flint, Michigan. I mean, we're being ripped apart left and right. My reason for wanting to make sure that this anniversary goes on every year is, one, to make sure that people reconnect, feeling energized, realize that they're not alone. Two, for people to formulate some type of network so that they can go on and mobilize. It doesn't have to be about being in the park. It never was. It was about empowering individuals to take action in their own community. That means every single person in this park, if there's a street light out in your neighborhood, you should be able to feel empowered enough to get two of your neighbors, go down into your city council's office and say, we're not going to take this shit. We need this happen. We need this fixed now. A lot of government officials, what I've been seeing recently, is that they feel that they're not accountable to the people, whether within New York City, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, or anywhere in this country. A lot of you saw it during the healthcare crisis. A lot of representatives refused to take town halls because they didn't want to be held accountable. They didn't want to be answered the questions. The government isn't a separate entity. The people are the government. They work for you. You know, the only right that Brookfield has to build the extra stories on their building was as long as they created this public space. As far as Brookfield's concerned, they own this. It wasn't the city government that gave them the permission to go ahead and do that. The city government was saying the people are allowing you to do that as long as you make sure that there's space for people to congregate in. Brookfield doesn't like the fact that we have attention. You have this security guard, the other security guard, which is somewhere. A ton of their suits were around here. We have this individual over here. Nothing against them. Their job isn't easy. I understand that. The only reason Brookfield is out here because they're frightened of us taking the park. The objective of us coming together is not to take this park, is not to set up tents, is not to sleep day in and day out. NYPD doesn't come down here because they don't want to deal with it unless things get out of hand. They have a few officers now down here, and that's because of Brookfield. The government is frightened of the word occupy. If you throw the word occupy in front of any action, you will have police coming around to see what's going on. In 2011, I know for a fact, I will not say who told me, but there was a congressional meeting in Congress and the Senate, actually in Congress, and they had originally planned to shut down every occupation within the country on the exact same day. That idea was revised because they realized what a media fiasco that would be. So they started shutting down individual occupations around the country, individual encampments. I know this because of someone who was very close friends with one of the congressmen that was in that meeting. So this isn't just secondhand knowledge, it's fact. A lot of people think that, it's like Occupy didn't achieve a lot. I think Marty touched on that in the fact that, one, we changed the conversation. Stuff that people weren't talking about, representatives and government started talking about. Even to this day, you turn on the news, you listen to politicians, you listen to newscasters, they're always hearkening back to Occupy Wall Street, the Occupy movement, the stuff that we were talking about. Everything that's happened since 2011 is 100% what we were talking about, what we were warning about, what we were trying to prevent. People are still working on achieving that. I'm not always good at communicating my opinions or my ideas about how I see things, but the fight's always going on. I'm never giving up because, it's something I started. The banks, they've never really been held accountable. The Federal Reserve has never been held accountable. The ratings agencies, people have tried to sue them, but there's been so many pieces of regulations that have prevented that from happening. If people don't take action now, it's going to be too late. There's not going to be anything less. And you have to imagine also, coming out for the Women's March, the Climate March, the Youth Strike, it's great. But if you only come out for that because it's the popular thing to do and take no action after that, then you're hypocritical. You're a disgrace to humanity because you need to take action beyond just coming out for large rallies. It means talking to your neighbors, taking action in your household, whether it's just the recycling, whether it's seeing someone on the street and you don't have to give them money, give them some food. It's about community, it's about caring about individuals. That's what's actually going to save us as a people. That's what's going to create the world that we're all striving to. Everyone is the 99%. When I'm out on marches, there are times I will say, fuck the police, because of the actions I see them say, and other people won't say that. At the end of that march, I have no problem saying to a lot of those police officers, be safe out there tonight. I know the job isn't easy. The reason is because I'm holding them accountable the same way they try to say that, we're supposed to be held accountable. And that goes for anything else that goes on. A lot of people will never understand it. What I'll say in closing is that your 8-day work week, your health care, your benefits, everything you have in this country was because of a small group of individuals that were beaten, spit upon, told to go get a job, called long-haired hippies, hipsters, whatever you want to say. If it wasn't for what they did, none of these people would have the benefits they have, the 8-hour work week. Half the people in this country wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for people fighting for immigrant rights. Everyone in this country is an immigrant. But what I do notice is that a lot of people, once their group actually becomes a lot more institutionalized, ingrained in society, they have a tendency to hate other immigrants coming in. We need to stop that, realize that we're all one people. You know, there aren't any real borders. That's my babbling, my rambling for right now. I just needed to say something on that. Happy Occupy.
This is from the Yippie Pie Man. He said, "Sorry I can't be here due to a bout with arthritis. I am glad to see that Occupy is still being a thorn in the side of the chumpies. We have to grow more thorns and give them hell. I say we must mobilize, not mumbleize to give them hell. We must let those pigs know we are not done. Let there be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 many Occupy Wall Street actions everywhere." That's from the Yippie Pie Man. He used to take the pies and smash them in the faces of nasty politicians.
For those of you who don't know, there's a glut of high-end housing in the city. Even the investors that used to invest don't appear to be investing anymore. We got apartments that are empty and condos that have empty apartments in the city. And we have one of the most outstanding homeless problems, I guess outside of California, in New York City, the city of Wall Street. This is a problem because the way that the mayor has worked out the system, people are allowed, or developers are allowed, to build all these high-end buildings with just a handful of so-called buildings, of so-called apartments that they call affordable. If you look at the Housing Connect website, you will see that affordable goes all the way up to $2,000 for a studio apartment. And the studio is prison cell size, just about. That's one of his solutions. If you're willing to go into a shelter so that you can pay many of his contributors, because that's really what you're doing, when you are being charged $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month as an individual in a room that has 3 other people, before you can get any kind of housing in the city, somebody's getting paid. It's not the poor, and it's not the people who are working, who have apartments now, that are living check to check, that are contributing to this pool of money that's going to these folks who own these shelters. So basically, we have developed a system where we create homelessness with succession rules that people don't know about. And then we say we're helping the homeless by paying $2,000 and $3,000 and $4,000 a month for them to stay in a shelter, that we tell them they're going to stay in for maybe a month or 2, and they end up in there for a year or 2, and even more. If you went to the speeches, or you heard the speeches that were in Abyssinia Church a few months ago, you would hear about how much money is going down the drain. If you're willing to spend $2,000 to $4,000 to keep somebody in a shelter for a month, you can't tell me you can't find an apartment to put them in. And if you can't, that means that the deal you cut with the developers are such that not enough quote-unquote affordable housing is there. And then we have to determine how we're going to define affordable. Is it a $2,000 studio apartment per month?
No.
Is that how we define affordable? And it flips on to the people who want to develop stores and businesses. Because if you're creating $10,000 a month for a business to have a little corner store, how do they pay the people that work with them? It's an impossible situation. How do they
Also, I just
be able to do?
I want to add one thing to Miss Kay. The AMI measurement that they use is that they include the incomes of Westchester County, which is a high net worth area. How dare they do that? So, you know, just like what Bernie Sanders said, everything is rigged. I mean, from the smallest thing, it's so rigged. I mean, you know, so again, but I think calling it out like this, where the AMI should just be the median income of the local area, is really important. So,
and that's on a federal level. And we have people in Congress who have not done a thing about that, or even speak about it when it comes to our community, and they talk about housing. And I'm talking about the people who are supposedly representing us in the federal government. And that's the thing I don't understand. I think AOC has probably been the only person to touch on this. Everybody else act like they don't understand what it's all about. So we need to get some more AOCs to run for Congress throughout the city and throughout the country. We need some more AOCs to run for local positions. And we need an AOC to run New York City. And stop all the jive of saying, I'm a progressive, but, you know, I progressively create 5% housing out of every development. 5% housing for the quote-unquote poor. But I'm willing to pay up to $4,000 to keep people in a shelter. And I mean $4,000 per month. I'm not talking about per year. And if you ever go into these shelters, it'll make you cry. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. I'm surprised you guys are still going on, but that's cool.
Ms. Kay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Shine, can you come up for a second? The year after Occupy Wall Street, we had a lot of us just solutionists going out into the world doing it. And there was a veggie-powered solar panel bus that was called the Occupy Bus Tour that this amazing gem of a human decided to bring forth into the world, connecting crisis relief centers, communities and eco-villages, and is now on the board of ARC 38 upstate, and is also founder and board member of the People's Project Caravan on the back of that flyer I handed out earlier. So here's Shine.
Hello. Hi. I don't really, but I think that Echo said most of it. We travel to different intentional communities, trying to network them together, and also to different actions, trying to like connect all of those different pieces and build a better world. So I guess that's the main focus, and thank you so much, and we will keep on doing it, and thank you guys for doing what you're doing and keeping on doing it every day.
Give an update on the number of buses and anything that people can look forward to in 2020 or places to connect.
Oh, well, I do know that we will be going to the DNC and the RNC next year, and we do have about 3 or 4 buses that are part of the People's Project Caravan. Plus, there's other traveling groups that we have connected with, and which have more buses and RVs or vans, you know, and then we'll have rendezvous points and meet up with them, and then go our separate ways and meet up again. So it's kind of like a ebb and flow of coming together and then going our separate ways, doing the different work that each of us do. So, any more questions? I'm good at answering questions, but thank you very much.
What did you do during the occupation of Occupy Wall Street here in Liberty Park?
Well, I guess for the most part, I cleaned up garbage and went on every march possible, so in between. Yes, and a lot of nonviolent communication. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. Because another thing that we do is we bring around the nonviolent communication book and share with everyone the nonviolent communication process and practice it. And I've now gone through the book like 4, 5, 6, 7 times, and are slowly putting into practice these different skills of instead of blaming and criticizing and judging, we can listen to each other with an open heart and talk about our feelings and needs, and that helps to connect us instead of separate us. So.
Did you get the book?
What?
Yeah, did you get the book?
I didn't.
She's also an author. For anyone who didn't see, there's Cardboard and Sleeping Bags is the name of the first in a trilogy of books, and you brought some copies?
Yeah, and I do have some copies, so if anybody's interested, I have like maybe 4 or 5 copies, and I will...
That's the book you're talking about, right?
Yes.
That's the book she wrote.
Yes.
And then she mentioned before that Marshall Rosenberg's
Nonviolent
communication.
Yes. I'm interested.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
¡Viva Revolución!
Oh, this guy's a beautiful guy. Yeah. Yes, I mean,
So we'll have your food. I'll make sure.
Hey, can you not force me without asking?
God.
It's kind of not sentimental.
Do you want universal basic guaranteed income?
Yes.
How about universal education?
Yes.
How about debt relief? No more student, credit card, medical, dental, no more utility bills. No more taxes, no more IRS. How about that? Yeah? Are you willing to fight for it?
Yes.
Are you willing to go with me right now to the Federal Reserve? 2 blocks down. All right, if not right now, I want you all to come with me on Friday, October 18th, 6 p.m. One of my mentors, she's a former Wall Street Bank employee. Her name is Sue Peters. She's new technology for a big bank. She's gonna be in front of the Fed to explain how it works. And Sue is one of the directors for the Alliance for Just Money. This is a group, please look it up online. Please Google the Alliance for Just Money. They are fighting for the National Emergency Employment Defense Act. This bill was written in 2011 by Dennis Kucinich. He asked Occupy Wall Street to endorse it, but I didn't hear him because I was too busy running around doing other stuff. But never, it's better late than never. We're fighting to get a new congressional representative, and make no mistake about it, we want to shut down the Federal Reserve. This is just the first of many meetings we want to have. We want to build up the awareness. We're going to have more speakers, hopefully week by week. We want to generate a new conversation at the Fed. We need more people on the left to understand how our monetary system works. Right now, you can't even talk about the Fed without people thinking that you support Donald Trump or that you're an anti-Semitic bigot or something like that. We need more monetary literacy on the Federal Reserve. Thank you. Please, please, please read the National Emergency Employment Defense Act. I got some flyers with some highlights of the bill. This bill gives me hope for the future. This bill is like a big part of the reason why I haven't committed suicide, like 3 other of my younger siblings. Please read this. This will fill you with hope. And please join us Friday, October 18th at 6 p.m. I'll make sure everyone gets fed. We're going to have live stream. There'll be crowdfunding. We'll make sure everyone gets a slice of pizza. And after that, you know how I roll. I'll make sure we have some free martial arts. There will be illegal drugs there for sale. Cannabis, psychedelics, LSD, shrooms, maybe some MDMA. We want this to turn into an all-night rave. Keep people there as long as we possibly can until the break of dawn. You ever heard that Henry Ford quote? It is well and good that the people of the United States of America don't understand our monetary system. For if they did, I fear there would be a revolution by morning. We want to make Henry Ford, the arts capital of the sphere, come true. So please read the NEED Act. If you got an extra minute, call your Congress rep. Tell them to support the NEED Act. Please join myself, join all of our friends here, and even more. There's going to be a lot of other people down there. We're going to be canvassing almost every Friday. We could, if we wanted to, we could shut down the entire economy tonight and start a revolution by morning. If we go to the Fed. You gotta understand this. We could do this right now if we wanted. I know we're not quite ready, so let's do it on Friday, October 18th, all right? Thank you all very much. Happy anniversary to each and every one of you.
Mike check! Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
I want to tell you a little bit about why I joined you guys when I live in upstate New York. When I lived upstate, I worked really hard. I did everything the American system wants you to do. I worked for other people. I bust my ass. I paid my bills. I worked hard as a teacher in my school. And then I had lost my home to Wall Street criminals. I put my small house and 3 acres of land up for sale, and I was ignored. I had a cash buyer, and I wasn't allowed to sell my home, and they ignored me. So then I started fighting back, and I started thinking, well, I'm losing my home. When I served in the military, I got screwed over. When I worked, I got screwed over. I got screwed over with my student loans. Got screwed over with my house. And now I have 3 boys in endless war. And then I looked at our economy and I said, the only thing we have is a fucking franchise store economy where you have the educated elite or you work in a store in a cash register selling stuff the poorest people in the world made. And I said, something here's not working. Our healthcare system is broken. Our homes are being taken away from us. Our college system is broken. Our education system is broken. Every aspect of the life is a problem. What fucking works? And then I said, is there anybody in this country that's got the balls to fight back, stand up, and take this on? And then I met you people. Woo! Yeah. Then I met the most courageous people I have ever met that had the guts and the courage to stand up against corporate America and say, we fucking had enough. It is time for things to get better. We are done with the banks. We are done with big ag. We are done with the corruption. We are done with the wars. And God damn it, we're done with the pollution. Something has to get better. So if you think for 1 minute you're forgotten, you're not. Cory Booker is not my favorite person, but he made history when he stood up and brought up factory farming in a national election, in a debate of all the major Democrats. When has that happened? Never. You know why it happened? Because of you. They're talking about health care and health care for all because of you. They're talking about ending student debt because of you and everything you've done to make this country better and different. And you may be the ones to bring enough environmental justice to the small towns around this world and let everybody know that climate change is real and we have the power to make it better. And so I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry I'm screaming, no mic.
Sandy, are you ready? You ready, Sandy? But it's no Sandy the hurricane. Come on. What the storm. Okay, put away my check.
My check!
My check!
My check!
My check!
My name is Sandy.
My name is Sandy.
I want to talk to you about are we going to survive?
Are we going to survive?
Is our planet going to survive?
Is our planet going to survive?
And if we survive,
How
many of us
will survive?
will survive? There is a program. United Nations has it. It's called Agenda. 21. Agenda 21. Is a program. For depopulating 80% of the population of the world.
80% of the population
By 20.
by 2025.
Look it up.
Look it up.
I'm here to tell you that we need to look beyond where we've ever looked before. We need to understand the implications if we fail. Because we don't have very much more time to figure this out.
All of us
has to look beyond every place that we have seen. Which means that we have to research the dangers of the wireless technology. What the implications of our planet would be if we installed the 5G network across the globe. The 5G network across the globe. An escalated system of wireless technology way surpassing the amount of frequencies that are used by the existing frequencies of 4G networks. We currently have just a millimeter of the amount of force and technology that we will have if this 5G network comes to pass in the next 3 years. If this 5G network comes to pass in the next few years, we will not be able to survive in the same way and function in the same way that we ever did before. We will be lethargic. We will have brain tumors. We will not be able to move very easily, and we should look it up. Because we will get cancer and a lot of other illnesses that we don't have now. And physicians will call it something else. They will call it anything else. They will put you in an institution. They will say you're crazy if you have any kind of illnesses.
Environmental Health Trust is a great website for info on that.
Environmental Health Trust is a website that you might want to look up. There are some people in that network that have devoted themselves to children. They are specializing in trying to save children from getting devoured and getting destroyed and having not be able to have children and all kinds of things. Environmental health club is very good. They're expanding and they need your help too. Anyway, I just want to say that I think that we're in trouble, much more trouble than you ever realize that we're in. And if we don't look beyond everything that we've seen so far and done so far, we won't be alive. So I just think that we have to look further. Thank you very much.
It's tobacco. It's a filter. Why do people think those are superior?
Shirley. Oh, Echo. Where is Echo?
Oh my God, that's so much stronger.
Echo. Yeah.
Whatever you want to say.
Mike check.
Hi, Jack.
Look around you. That light grows. Some of us have gotten more in touch with how to change reality. Magic is the ability to change consciousness at will. Here in the park, we created a container. We met our needs. Through honesty, compassion, radical inclusivity. These basic tenets can serve you at any crossroads. An attempt that I have made is a project that sustains to this day. A transformation station. A couple old barns in a big forest. A really old farmhouse we need help fixing. No, really. Come up the next 2 weekends. If you can swing a hammer, pour concrete, or thereafter work on the greenhouse, or any of the many projects that it takes to sustain a commons. If you're in here, you already broke the spell. We are surrounded by zombies and vampires. Have pity on them. There is bad code in the human family. We forgot how to be family. Traded it in for dollars. Power. Show how to use your power. Show us how to respect you. Share that respect. And let the land feel it. We're all visitors here. Who here has Native American blood? We're on your land. Thank you for the hospitality. I hope we leave it better than we found it. It's a big we. Which is the whole earth. Which is breaking all the spells. That any one of us is separate. We're all a cell in a larger consciousness. By whatever strain you want to call it. Radical solidarity. And mutual aid. Are what made this work. No matter how you were scarred. By how fucked up it is. You came here. And you were part of something bigger. That never went away. We need to major soul craft.
We need to do major soul craft.
I borrow that term from the Dr. Carnell West.
All that term from the Dr. Carnell West.
We need to do soul craft.
We need to do soul craft.
The disenfranchised are the true majority.
The disenfranchised are the true majority.
Everybody's hurting.
Everybody's hurting.
We got a lot in common.
We got a lot in common.
Extinction Rebellion.
Extinction Rebellion.
Idle No More.
Idle No More.
Standing Rock.
Standing Rock.
Every attempt to stand up for the commons is Occupy. Is Destiny. Is a living planet. Every day is a choice to show up for those other causes. Those other causes. 99% meant we are one.
99% and we are one.
When we act with solidarity, we get our egos out of the way, we scratch our backs, we scratch our neighbors' backs, we say I need a massage, I need a break, before you break, because there's been a lot of breakdowns. We're in the middle of a collective breakdown. A great opportunity. To reconfigure. But only when you're calm. When you're clear. When you can vision what you want. When you can use your voice. And ask for what you want. Then we can give it to you. Let's be giving it. Let's be sources of generosity. We have to learn the tools of abundance. As Einstein said, freedom is a muscle. With disuse it atrophies. Those zombies and vampires have been weakened. We must strengthen ourselves. Nourish and restore. Plant the seeds. Spread our wings. And take care of each other. Because our future depends on it. Thank you.
Buddy, I'm the from San Diego. Donna Pirana, I don't know if any of you remember her. Sent me here to represent San Diego Occupy. Okay. Anyway, I'm San Diego. I'm known to every judge as the Judge Buster because I've sued judges for racketeering in federal court. I want to give you a website which, if you ever have to go before a court, you want to have some understanding of how really corrupt it is. The website is it's on YouTube. It's titled The Judicial Racketeering Enterprise. I have been blessed with numerous frauds conducted against me where I was able to go into numerous courts and document how they aid, abet, protect, and thereby promote frauds by attorneys against us, against our insurance companies, our savings, in order to feed their kind. It's a brotherhood. It can be put a stop to. The thing that's on YouTube is the cases I went through up until suing the judges for racketeering and what happened. But I've had another case since where they finally decided to take me into court and punish me for what I do, which is call them a bunch of criminals and submit evidence thereof. Anyway, the website is titled, it's on YouTube, it's The Judicial Racketeering Enterprise. And if you go right past the first 10-minute section into the second 10-minute section, go halfway through it and go down where I start talking about meeting a law school class that tells me this is all being taught. Oh, by the way, I have been set free because of what I do in court, because of what I've learned in court, because I document it. They will not give me a ticket for anything. The police, I do things that get pull police over. If they're coming back to me, I'm going to do something to get pulled over. They look it up on their screen, and they start the car and they drive off. told that to my Secret Service agents the other day. They went, yeah, I can understand that. They don't ever want to see you again in another court. Anyway, YouTube, The Judicial Racketeering Enterprise. It's what you need to know if you have to go into a court, any court. They're totally and absolutely in disregard of the conditions of their authority. That constitutes warring on the Constitution and freedom. Good luck, folks.
Thank you. Thank you.